Sevyn Studios here. We are going to run some testing. We're going to run performance tests. I have, as you can tell, the three best benchmarking applications for mobile devices on the three best Android phones you can buy. So we have the Google Pixel 8 Pro on the left with 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. This is on the beta Android 14. This is on their beta software, updated to the latest and greatest. All of these are updated to the latest firmware. So this is Android 14 beta, 12 gigs, 256 storage. This is Nothing Phone 2. It is running on beta software, Nothing OS 2.5.1, 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. S23 Ultra. This is running on stock firmware, no beta. 12 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage. As you can tell right there, Android 14, 14, 14. So all these are updated. All the apps updated. All the software updated. Play system updates. Everything is updated as much as possible to make it as fair as possible. All apps are closed out in the background. Let's close that. Whoops. Let's close that. Let's close that. I just restarted them. So let's get the benchmarking. Now I'm going to pause the video so I don't make it like, because we're going to do all three. So I'm not going to make it like a, 45, an hour long video. I'm going to start the test, pause the video, and as soon as each one of them finish, I'll come right back to you. Let's start with the 3Dmark. 3Dmark's good for gaming and stuff like that. Let's see, stress testing. So let me set it up. Hang on. Now, what's interesting with 3Dmark, the Pixel 8 Pro and the S23 Ultra, 3Dmark will basically pick the test it thinks is best for your device with the specs and the hardware. Now, the Pixel 8 Pro and the S23 Ultra both recommended the wildlife test, as you can tell. It says recommended here on the strip, and then wildlife is highlighted at the top. But look at the Nothing Phone 2. Recommended wildlife extreme. In the past, when I did these comparisons, this Nothing Phone 2 outperformed both of these, and it has the older CPU, but nothing has maxed it out, so it is blazing fast. I'm going to actually choose the same test all across the board, just so we give it a nice and fair comparison between all three. Now we're installing wildlife, and I'll be right back when it's done installing. Okay, so the wildlife test is downloaded, installed, and ready to run. So let's run it on all three. And away they go. I will be back, I'm assuming, with the results. So everything's nice. Again, everything is fair as possible. Just wanted to run this. It's been actually a few months since I've done any benchmarking, so it is good time to see with Android 14 across the board on latest and greatest software, what improvement, if any, you can take out my results and compare them to anything else that's on the internet. I'm not going to do that, but like I said, you can use my results and then compare at your leisure. I'll be right back. Okay, so here are the results. The Nothing Phone 2 and the S23 Ultra actually maxed out the test. It says your Nothing Phone 2 and your S23 Ultra is too powerful for this test. We recommend using Wildlife. I'm assuming Wildlife Extreme, which I'll run Wildlife Extreme on these two devices, but check out the Pixel. This CPU is not too powerful for the wildlife. So while this sits to the side and charges, I'm going to run the wildlife. Actually, let's do that while we look at the score. Wildlife Extreme. there. Extreme. So while those run, let's look at this. So we all know the tensor is not performance-based. It's AI-based. It's machine learning-based, right? Well, here are some, here is the score for the wildlife on 3Dmark. Average frame rate, 51.4. Overall score, 8,583. Frame rate, 35 to 65. Let's look at the frame rate. Oh, it's already on there. Okay. So you can take that for what it's worth. Scored 85, 83 on the wildlife test. So we will wait for these other two to finish. Oh, what do you know? Okay. So on the wildlife extreme, S23 Ultra got 3859. And the Nothing Phone 2, 2819. Average frame rate, 23.11. Average frame rate, 16.89. Now this is this benchmark, I believe, is more GPU intensive. So this has got the latest and greatest GPU, the next gen GPU. This has got the last gen GPU and CPU, really. But they maxed this freaking thing out. But we'll see what it's at on the other benchmarks. So average, okay, we already went over that. So you get a little... And then there's your frame rate on the Nothing Phone 2, 13 to 21. And then S23 Ultra, 15 to 28. Okay. So, now that we got that done with 3Dmark. Actually, let me close that out so we get all the available RAM. Okay, Antutu. You can get Antutu is not on the Play Store, but you can download it from their website, which is what I did. So let's see. I guess we'll just get it started. All right, I'll be right back. Side note real quick, look how long the Pixel is taking to load. These two have already been going for 10-15 seconds, and this one just started. The Pixel. All right, after the Antutu test. Now, they must have changed this because I don't remember the results looking like this, and I may mess around to see if I can do another test. But look at this. With the Vulkan test, the Pixel 8 Pro, on-screen frames per second, 10. Off-screen frames per second, 12. For the Vulkan, off-screen frames per second, 21. Off-screen, 15. And for this one, S23 Ultra, on-screen frames per second, 25. Off-screen, 20. So you got the best performance here, middle performance here, worst performing on the left. Coastline, as you can tell, on-screen 13 for the Pixel, off-screen 16. And for the Nothing Phone 2 in the middle, on Coastline Vulkan test, on-screen frames per second 24. Off-screen FPS 18. And on the right with the S23 Ultra, Coastline Vulkan test got it on-screen frames per second 36. That's big. And then off-screen 27. So we go from the best performance on the left to the best performing on the right. So let's see. I'm going to scroll through here to see if we can do another test. Give me a second. Now, something interesting, if you click on how to perform a complete performance test, if you click that, it gives you a notification saying how to completely detect mobile phone performance. Search and download Antutu Benchmark in the App Store. Well, I did, and nothing came up. So they must have removed it. Let me see if I can find a better test real quick. Hang on. Okay, so on their website, they actually have another benchmarking test that I'm going to go ahead and run. I'm going to download it on these two, and then we'll run this new Antutu test here in just a second. Hang on, let me download it on these, and I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. So this looks like a more comprehensive test. I guess it's good we did the other one, but this is the one I was looking for. So this apparently will test a lot more. So let's get it started. Oh, let me close out the stuff in the background. Let me close that out, that out, that out, and just have this app running. And we'll do the same thing for the Pixel. Okay, ready? That was a good start. Pixel looks like it's watch the loading times. That's done, that's halfway, and this hasn't even started. Look, I knew that this was not the best performing phone, but it's really showing right now. So if you're buying the Pixel 8 Pro for gaming, probably not the best choice. One of these two obviously is better, but I don't have any issues in my day-to-day usage with the Pixel at all. I don't have any games installed on my devices. It's just not what I do, but I'm doing this one for y'all so we can see what the maxed out performances are. So I'll be right back with the scores. Okay, well, 2 out of the 3 finished. This was pretty lengthy. I think it took about 15 minutes. So the S23 Ultra, now I took the plug out of the Pixel and put it in the Nothing phone just to make sure we have charged through these testing phases. So the S23 Ultra on the Antutu more comprehensive test, more full device test, scored just over 1.5 million points. And the Nothing Phone 2 just scored almost 1.2 million points. Coming in at 1.19 million points. So noticeable difference here. Now I'm expecting a even more noticeable difference when we go to the Pixel. I'm not sure it'll even hit 1 million, but we will see. As you can tell, now this is the latest. Now I know the S24 Ultra is just literally around the corner, but we're working with what we got. We are going to get the S24 Ultra, and trust me, we're going to test that thing to death. However, we got a score CPU 383,000 compared to this one. Now, this is Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And this is Snapdragon 8 Gen plus 1. Yeah, basically pretty much what I expected. Those are the jumps you're going to see going from one gen to the next gen, and now to the 8 Gen 3 is supposed to blow all this away. So we will definitely test it. But let's see what else we got here. So it looks like this has better. So this dropped 6% in battery life running the test. Nothing Phone 2 only. Well, I take that back. I had it plugged in, so that's not fair. Let's see what else. I believe that's it. I don't need to test any of the hardware. I'm just waiting on this one. You can see the different scores. Now you can pause the video if you need to look at them more in depth. This says UFS storage 3.1. This says UFS storage 4. And Pixel's taking forever. I'll come back with the Pixel score, then we'll move on to the final benchmark test. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Pixel 8 Pro locked up because I left the room for a while, came back. It's probably 15 minutes later, and it's stuck on the same screen. So I would call that a fail. I failed the test. So now this is on beta. Remember, the S23 Ultra is on stock firmware, but it's updated to the latest software available. The Pixel 8 Pro and the Nothing Phone 2 are both on the latest beta software that both manufacturers offer the public. So, in Android 14. So, that's not good. Wow. All right, so we'll call that a fail because I don't have time to sit here for an hour to see if it's going to work. So let's move on to the final test. And real quick, before we run the third and final test, I wanted to take a look at the temperatures of these devices. Now, these two have been plugged in, but this one's been off the charger Pixel for about 20 minutes. This one's been on the charger, and this one has not been on the charger at all. But this has the lowest temperature now, running 2 out of the 3 benchmark tests. Just want to keep an eye on the temperatures. But let's go to the third and final benchmark, which will be Geekbench 6. Now, if you remember when Pixel was first released, Geekbench 6 was not allowed to be installed on this device. So we will see if this will pass. So what we're going to do, we're going to run the CPU benchmark, and then after that, we'll run the GPU benchmark, and we will see where they are at. So let's do CPU. Let's see if I can do them all three again at the same time. Yep. All right, I'll be back with the results. All right, the CPU scores are in, CPU benchmarking scores on the Geekbench 6 test. Pixel 8 Pro, single core score of 1767, which actually beat the Nothing Phone 2 at 1750. And the benchmark results for the CPU bench test for the S23 Ultra topped out at 1955, and then these are interesting as well. My previous testing with the Nothing Phone 2 blew away the Pixel. So, and actually, I have a couple of tests. If you go back, was it 4 or 5 months ago when this first came out, this phone, the Nothing Phone 2, actually beat the S23 Ultra. So, not really sure. Now, it is CPU, but it is what it is, right? That's why I wanted to make this video, see where we are at. Because, look, updating software makes a difference, right? Google, just with this December security patch on the Pixel, not the Pro, but on the Pixel 8, they boosted the GPU, right? They gave it a boost, so it's much better for gaming. So they do tweak these behind the scenes without any announcements or anything for the most part. So it is good to run these tests every now and then just to see where they are at as far as performance. That gives you the... now, what GPU does this use? I guess I gotta test the GPU to find that out. But single core. So I got 1955, so I scored better than the average S23 Ultra. Don't know why. Everything's closed out in the background. I might try to figure a way if I could post these scores for y'all to take a look at later. Maybe a cloud. Anyways, I'll figure that out. Go in the description. If you want more info, either comment in the video below and I can send you the scores of everything. So let's test the GPU, or I might post it. Well, anyways, if you want this in detail, comment below and I'll get you the details. But let's do the final testing of the GPUs here. I'm assuming it should basically look the same. The weakest, the weakest, the in-between, and the best performing. But we will see. We have been surprised in the past. So we're on GPU. Now, it is the OpenCL. I might do Vulkan, but let's get this going. All right, I'll be right back with the scores. All right, and this actually, the results were as expected as far as I'm concerned. This took forever for it being just a couple hundred points behind or below the Nothing Phone 2. The Pixel 8 Pro took probably, these got done right around the same time, S23 Ultra and the Nothing Phone 2. This one was behind for about 7 minutes. I was waiting. I was like, damn, did it get stuck again? But it did not. So the GPU, this is the OpenCL. There are the scores. That's a really, really good performing device. Now, let's do the Vulkan just to get all tests performed. So all three are on Vulkan. And then we'll run this and see where, and then wrap up the video, see where they're at. And once again, these get done rather quick, and Pixel is still lagging behind. But here are the results for these two. 9,353 for the Samsung and 7,739 for the Nothing Phone 2. So overall, wow, look at that. The average for S23 Ultra is only 5,900. Mine scored way over that. Huh. Interesting. Well, that's on Pixel's almost done. We will wait and see what that says and wrap it up. There we go. 5,800. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so that scored 5,800, 7,739, and then 9,353. So we had one benchmark that was kind kind of surprising. We had one that crashed, but overall, with all 3 benchmark apps, the scores were rather predictable. However, like as I mentioned, a few surprising outcomes, but take that for what you will. Whenever we get the S24 Ultra in here in about a month, we will see how much it blows the competition away with the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And as I mentioned before, if you need these in detail, I can go back and I'm going to save this information. So if you need it, I got it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me think. I want to know what you think as far as the upcoming 8 Gen 3 on the S24 Ultra. Is it going to double this score? Maybe 40%, 50%? How do you think the Pixel is doing with its Tensor G3? Is it a disappointment? Let me know what you think. Now, remember, these two are on beta software. This one is on stock firmware, but it is what it is. These are the scores. This is the real world proof. And I do appreciate your time viewing this video and our eSIM Studios channel. I will see you tomorrow. Peace out.